So this week we'll be talking about two things: Netflix and NFTs. Hi, my name is Boma, and I have decided to start a weekly video newsletter about technology, and I've decided to call it Tech Moves. It will focus on the strategy behind technology, the business behind technology, and yes, we will talk about all the famous buzzwords and all of that. And it's my very opinionated opinion about technology and what I see going on. And I'm hoping to have that conversation with as many people as are interested. So thank you for watching. Let's get going. This week, we'll be talking about two things. One, Netflix. Two, NFTs. First, Netflix. So famously in 2018, or no, that was in 2016, Netflix CEO said at a CS convention that he didn't mind people sharing passwords and accounts. Of course, because they understood that it was free marketing for them. It was word of mouth. It was a way to get people hooked on their platform. However, reports have come out that Netflix is experimenting with something similar to two-factor authentication to clamp down and crack down on password sharing. Now, why is that important? One, they're facing financial pressures from Disney Plus and HBO and Paramount, and the list goes on forever. So Netflix is in a position where they need to capitalize on the market share they have and hopefully are able to lock in more customers to their platform. Now, if I was Netflix, how might I approach this? A couple of ways. One would be to create a ad type of Netflix where you essentially, as a user who doesn't pay, have to pay in ads. That would arguably make them a ton more of money. The other option they have is perhaps to create some sort of scenario where they put their best shows on Netflix, on that Netflix Lite or Netflix cheap version, whatever they call it. And in there, they essentially create scarcity by putting 2 episodes each of their famous shows, right? So they have originals. They have cornered the market for some shows, and the distribution is really only Netflix or streaming via torrent or something, right? Most people will not go via the torrent route. So this is an opportunity for Netflix to explore other monetization strategies and other formats for still maintaining their market share in terms of number of active users without losing revenue by forcing people off their platforms to Disney Plus and all the others. Now, there has been a massive hype bubble around NFTs in the recent weeks. So that's an elephant in the room, and so let's talk about it. One, what are NFTs? Two, is it hype? Is it not hype? Three, what opportunities might exist in the market for willing participants? So first of all, NFTs are non-fungible tokens. And that's really fancy speak for saying they're objects that are not interchangeable with one another. So using a dollar bill, for instance, or Bitcoin, one USD can be exchanged for another USD, and both participants in that transaction still have the same value they entered with, right? But with NFTs, they are different. So for example, if one USD with a magic hologram was more valuable than a regular USD, then those would be non-fungible because they now do not have the same intrinsic value. So getting that out of the way. Now, why are non-fungible tokens really a thing right now? They've been around for a while. The biggest iteration of non-fungible tokens was probably couple of years ago with crypto kittens. So crypto kittens were essentially these cats that people could buy and breed. And so it's essentially a game where people bred cats and those cats lived on the blockchain. People traded those cats and some had value, some didn't have. There were some rare breeds and all of that. So think of it almost like card trading. That's what they were. And there was a huge hype around it. Now, not so much. However, that same technology where they've taken the blockchain technology and tokenized different forms of art, music, content to allow creators kind of create those pieces of art and embed them on the blockchain where the ownership is irrefutable. So if I own a piece of art, nobody can refute my ownership because the proof of it exists in my wallet. Now, why is there hype around it? Well, let's say the Dogecoin crowd have also kind of started hyping NFTs, and prices of regular stuff are going through the roof. It's somewhat exciting and somewhat crazy. For some people, they're going in very level-headed, understanding that it might be a fad. For others, people are starting to bet significant amounts of their savings on JPEGs, essentially, that anybody could download and print. Now, in terms of the business behind it, what opportunities do I see for NFTs? One, I see opportunities in music and essentially content producers. So this arguably opens the playing field up to allow more diversity in content production, because it's possible that with time, there is a chance that content would rise to the top on its own merit, irrespective of where the artist is. So a fantastic 3D animator that lives in Congo could create some beautiful piece of art, and that could be sold anywhere in the world, right? So that's an opportunity in NFTs. Now, with the hype of NFTs, there are other business opportunities. So one is people who buy these images, JPEGs, these small video clips, are essentially buying pictures of or movies, right? And they'll need a way to display them. So one, there's an opportunity for companies and startups to create platforms where people can display their NFTs and show off, right? Because most people who buy really expensive artwork buy it to show their friends. So that's one opportunity. The other opportunity that exists is it's probably an interesting way or vehicle with which social causes and NGOs can raise funds partnering with celebrities. So celebrity could create a piece of content, right? And those could be sold as NFTs. And that could arguably raise a lot of money and kind of open up the bidding and the donation field for these NGOs and these noteworthy causes. So the question is, should you invest in NFTs? My honest appraisal would be no, don't, stay away, save your money. Now, if you're buying NFTs because you realize that this is an epic piece of art that you'd love to own and you'd love to have hanging somewhere in your house, then by all means. However, if you're buying NFTs because you have seen on Reddit threads that people are making tens of thousands of dollars of NFTs, my advice would be don't, because in bubbles, someone is always left holding the bag. Hopefully that's not you. So that's my conversation about NFTs today. There are lots of applications of it, and many really smart people have done lots of videos about what NFTs are. So if you're interested in a deep dive on NFTs, I might put a link somewhere. I'm not sure where links go yet, but I might put a link somewhere. Okay, this was fun. Please join the conversation, give me feedback and ideas. This is kind of new to me, and yeah, I know I'd probably look back at this very episode in a couple of months and cringe, but nothing ventured, nothing gained. So thank you again, and I'll see you again next week, hopefully.